There is a strange illusion that most people live under. They believe that every insult deserves a response, every accusation deserves an explanation, and every act of disrespect must be answered immediately. They think that defending themselves proves strength. In reality, it often proves the opposite. The moment someone controls your emotions, they begin to control your decisions. They no longer need physical power over you, because they have gained access to something far more valuable: your mind. They know exactly which words trigger you, which criticisms make you defensive, and which situations force you to abandon your logic. Power begins where emotional reactions end. Most people believe that strength is measured by how quickly they respond when challenged. They assume that if someone insults them, they must answer immediately. If someone questions their abilities, they must defend themselves. If someone spreads rumors, they must explain the truth. This instinct feels natural because the human mind is designed to protect its image and status. Yet the greatest weakness is not being criticized. It is allowing criticism to dictate your emotions. The moment another person can control your emotional state, they have gained influence over your decisions. They no longer need authority or physical power because they have learned how to manipulate your attention. Emotional reactions are predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. Think about how often conflicts begin. Very few arguments start because of important issues. Most begin because someone reacts without thinking. A careless comment, a sarcastic remark, or a disrespectful gesture immediately triggers anger. Instead of pausing, people answer with even greater emotion. Within minutes, a simple disagreement becomes a battle of egos. Neither side is searching for truth anymore. Both are trying to protect their pride. In these moments, logic disappears, and emotion takes control. The strongest individual in the room is not the loudest voice or the one with the cleverest insult. It is the person who refuses to let emotion replace judgment. Emotional control is one of the rarest forms of discipline because it requires resisting your natural impulses. Anyone can react. Anyone can become angry. Anyone can raise their voice. These actions require no training and no self-awareness. Remaining calm while facing disrespect demands something much greater. It requires confidence that does not depend on other people's opinions. When your self-worth comes from within, insults lose much of their power. They become words instead of weapons. People who manipulate others understand this principle extremely well. They intentionally provoke emotional responses because emotion clouds judgment. They may criticize you publicly, question your intelligence, or challenge your decisions, not because they seek truth, but because they want to make you lose control. Once you become emotional, your focus shifts away from your goals and toward proving yourself. You begin making decisions based on anger instead of wisdom. This is exactly what they hoped would happen. Notice how experienced negotiators, successful leaders, and disciplined individuals behave under pressure. They rarely rush to respond. They listen more than they speak. They observe before acting. They understand that every emotional reaction reveals valuable information. Anger exposes your insecurities. Frustration reveals your expectations. Impatience uncovers your weaknesses. By remaining calm, you reveal very little about yourself while learning a great deal about everyone else. Self-control is often misunderstood as suppressing emotions. It is not about pretending you never feel anger, disappointment, or frustration. Those emotions are natural. The difference lies in what you do after feeling them. Emotional maturity means recognizing your emotions without allowing them to control your actions. You acknowledge the feeling, but you choose your response carefully. This pause between emotion and action is where true power exists. Many people spend years trying to control others without first learning to control themselves. They seek influence, respect, and authority, yet they become defensive over the smallest criticism. This contradiction limits their potential. If your emotions depend on someone else's words, your peace is never truly yours. Every stranger has the ability to disturb your mind. Every negative opinion becomes a source of stress. Living this way means constantly giving away your inner stability. There is a quiet confidence that comes from mastering your own reactions. You no longer feel the need to answer every insult or participate in every conflict. You realize that not every opinion deserves your attention. Some people are looking for understanding, while others are simply looking for a reaction. Learning the difference saves enormous amounts of time and energy. When you refuse to react impulsively, you deny manipulators the satisfaction they seek. Your silence becomes evidence that your emotions belong to you alone. This discipline also strengthens your decision-making. When emotions settle, your perspective becomes clearer. Problems that once seemed urgent often appear insignificant after a few hours or days. Decisions made with patience are usually wiser than decisions made in anger. A calm mind notices opportunities that an emotional mind completely overlooks. Instead of focusing on revenge, you focus on progress. Instead of proving others wrong, you invest your energy in becoming better. Ultimately, emotional control is not about appearing cold or indifferent. It is about protecting your greatest asset, your ability to think clearly regardless of external circumstances. Life will always present criticism, disrespect, and unexpected challenges. You cannot control what people say or do, but you can always control how you respond. That choice determines whether you become a prisoner of your emotions or the master of your own mind. Every moment of restraint strengthens your character. Every thoughtful response builds your influence. And every refusal to react impulsively moves you closer to genuine confidence that cannot be shaken by the opinions of others. There is a reason the most influential people rarely feel the need to explain themselves. They understand that words often have less power than silence. Most people assume that if they can simply provide enough reasons, enough evidence, or enough justification, everyone will eventually understand them. But the world does not work that way. Many people do not misunderstand you because your explanation is weak. They misunderstand you because they have already decided what they want to believe. The more desperately you try to convince them, the more authority you surrender. Every unnecessary explanation signals that you are seeking approval instead of trusting your own judgment. Imagine a person who constantly explains every decision they make. They explain why they chose a certain career, why they ended a relationship, why they started a business, why they changed their habits, and why they think differently from everyone else. At first, it may seem like they are simply being open and honest. In reality, they are inviting people to become judges of their life. Every explanation creates another opportunity for criticism. Every defense opens another debate. Instead of living according to their own principles, they begin shaping their choices around the expectations of others. Confidence operates differently. A confident person understands that not everyone needs to approve of their decisions. They know that some people will disagree, no matter how detailed the explanation becomes. Rather than wasting time trying to win every opinion, they allow their actions to speak on their behalf. Results possess a quiet authority that words rarely achieve. Success does not argue. Discipline does not defend itself. Consistency does not demand recognition. Over time, achievements answer questions that explanations never could. Silence also creates a sense of mystery, and mystery has always carried psychological power. Human nature is curious. When people cannot easily predict your thoughts or emotions, They begin paying closer attention to your actions. Someone who reveals everything immediately becomes easy to understand. And once people believe they have fully understood you, they often stop respecting your complexity. By speaking less and revealing only what is necessary, you maintain control over your personal narrative instead of allowing others to define it for you. This does not mean becoming secretive or dishonest. It means recognizing that every thought does not need to be shared, and every decision does not require public approval. Many people speak because silence feels uncomfortable. They rush to fill every pause, defend every accusation, and answer every criticism because they fear being misunderstood. Yet silence often communicates greater confidence than endless words. A calm person who feels no urgency to justify themselves sends a powerful message. Their identity is not dependent on the opinions of others. History repeatedly shows that leaders who remained composed during criticism often earned greater respect than those who reacted emotionally. When people attack your reputation, they usually expect resistance. They prepare for arguments and emotional responses. But when they are met with calm confidence instead of defensive explanations, they often lose momentum. Without your participation, the conflict struggles to grow. They expected to control your emotions, yet your silence denies them that opportunity. Another reason silence is powerful is because emotions distort communication. When people feel attacked, they often explain themselves with frustration instead of clarity. They speak too much, reveal unnecessary information, and unintentionally weaken their own position. Later, when emotions settle, they realize they said things they never intended to say. This is why patience is valuable. A delayed response is often a wiser response. Time gives you the opportunity to separate facts from feelings and intention from impulse. People who constantly explain themselves also reveal an underlying fear of rejection. They believe acceptance must be earned through endless justification, but genuine respect cannot be forced through persuasion. It develops naturally when people observe consistency between your words and your actions. If your behavior repeatedly demonstrates integrity, honesty, and competence, explanations become less necessary, because your character speaks before you do. There is another hidden advantage to speaking less. You become a better observer. While others are busy defending themselves, you notice patterns in people's behavior. You identify who genuinely seeks understanding and who simply enjoys creating conflict. This awareness protects you from wasting energy on conversations that have no productive outcome. Instead of reacting emotionally to every challenge, you choose where your attention is most valuable. Many successful individuals follow an unspoken principle. They reserve explanations for people who have earned them. Family members, trusted friends, respected mentors, and sincere colleagues deserve honest communication because they care about your growth. Strangers looking for arguments, critics acting in bad faith, or individuals motivated by jealousy rarely deserve the same investment. Learning this distinction prevents unnecessary emotional exhaustion. Ultimately, silence is not the absence of strength. It is often the highest expression of self-control. It reflects a person who has stopped chasing universal approval and started trusting their own judgment. Such a person understands that reputation is built over time through consistent actions, not through endless attempts to convince everyone else. The less energy spent defending yourself, the more energy remains for improving yourself. And in the long run, quiet confidence leaves a far deeper impression than the loudest explanation ever could. One of the greatest psychological advantages you can develop is the ability to ignore people who are trying to provoke you. Most individuals believe that every insult deserves a response, every act of disrespect demands revenge, and every negative comment must be answered immediately. This belief keeps them trapped in endless conflicts that consume their attention and drain their emotional energy. They fail to realize that many people are not seeking the truth. They are seeking a reaction. The moment you react emotionally, you give them exactly what they wanted. Your anger becomes proof that they reached you, and from that moment, they begin influencing your behavior without your permission. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Unlike money, once a moment of attention is spent, it can never be recovered. Every unnecessary argument steals time that could have been invested in learning, building, creating, or improving your life. Yet people surrender their attention every day to individuals who contribute nothing to their future. A stranger's criticism on social media, a jealous coworker's sarcastic remark, or someone's attempt to embarrass them becomes the center of their thoughts for hours, or even days. Meanwhile, the person who caused the disturbance often moves on without another thought. This imbalance reveals an important truth. The greatest damage is not caused by the insult itself, but by the amount of mental space you allow it to occupy. Many manipulators understand this principle better than their targets. They know that direct control is difficult, but emotional control is surprisingly easy. They provoke, criticize, mock, or disrespect because they understand that emotional people become distracted people. Once you become distracted, your focus shifts away from your goals and toward proving yourself. Instead of improving your future, you become trapped defending your present. This is why ignoring calculated disrespect can be one of the strongest psychological responses available to you. It removes the reward that manipulators seek and forces them to confront silence instead of conflict. Ignoring someone does not mean pretending that harmful behavior never exists. It means refusing to give unnecessary importance to people whose opinions have no real value in your life. Not every criticism deserves consideration. Some criticism is constructive because it helps you grow. It comes from people who genuinely want to see you improve. Other criticism is simply an expression of jealousy, insecurity, or frustration. Learning to distinguish between these two types of feedback is essential. Wise people listen carefully to those who have earned their respect while remaining emotionally unaffected by those who criticize without purpose. Imagine two people receiving the same insult. The first reacts immediately with anger, raises their voice, and begins arguing. Hours later, they are still thinking about the encounter, replaying every word in their mind. Their productivity declines, their mood changes, and the conflict follows them throughout the day. The second person hears the same insult, pauses for a moment, realizes that the comment has no influence over their future, and calmly continues with their work. By the end of the day, they have achieved progress while the first person has achieved nothing except emotional exhaustion. The difference between them is not intelligence or talent. It is the ability to decide what deserves attention. There is also tremendous confidence in refusing to chase every disagreement. People often mistake silence for weakness because they assume strength requires constant confrontation. In reality, genuine confidence rarely feels the need to prove itself. A secure person understands that arguing with every critic only lowers them to the level of unnecessary conflict. They recognize that some people enjoy creating drama because it gives them a temporary sense of importance. By refusing to participate, you deny them the audience they desperately seek. Ignoring distractions also strengthens your long-term vision. Every successful individual learns that progress requires concentration. Goals cannot be achieved while your attention is scattered across endless arguments and emotional battles. Whether you are building a career, developing a skill, growing a business, or improving yourself, Your focus determines your results. Every minute spent defending your ego is a minute taken away from building your future. Those who accomplish extraordinary things understand that protecting their attention is just as important as protecting their time. Another hidden benefit of strategic indifference is that it allows emotions to settle naturally. Many situations that appear urgent lose their importance after a few days. If you react immediately, you may create problems that never needed to exist. If you remain patient, the situation often resolves itself without your involvement. Time exposes motives, reveals character, and separates temporary emotions from lasting truths. What once seemed like a personal attack may later appear insignificant compared to your larger purpose. Ultimately, choosing to ignore unnecessary disrespect is not about avoiding life or pretending challenges do not exist. It is about recognizing that your energy is limited and deserves to be invested wisely. Every day you decide where your attention will go, and that decision shapes the direction of your life. Those who allow every insult to control their emotions become prisoners of other people's behavior. Those who learn to ignore meaningless negativity preserve their peace, protect their focus, and continue moving toward their goals without allowing distractions to define their path. Patience is one of the least appreciated forms of strength because its power is not immediately visible. In a world that rewards instant reactions, quick opinions, and constant activity, remaining calm and allowing time to work in your favor often appears passive. Yet history repeatedly shows that people who master patience make better decisions, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and achieve greater influence over the long term. Real power does not come from proving yourself in every moment. It comes from developing the discipline to wait, observe, and act only when your actions truly matter. Most people confuse movement with progress. They believe that doing something is always better than doing nothing. When they face criticism, they respond immediately. When they feel disrespected, they seek instant revenge. When they hear a rumor, they rush to defend themselves. These reactions provide temporary emotional relief, but they rarely improve the situation. In many cases, they make the problem even worse. Words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Decisions made under emotional pressure often create consequences that last far longer than the emotions themselves. A patient person understands that time has a unique ability to reveal the truth. What seems urgent today may become meaningless tomorrow. Patience is closely connected to observation. When you stop reacting instantly, you begin noticing details that emotional people completely miss. You observe patterns in behavior instead of isolated incidents. You recognize who consistently supports you and who only appears during moments of conflict. You notice which people criticize with honest intentions and which people simply enjoy creating negativity. This awareness gives you a significant advantage because your decisions are based on reality instead of temporary emotions. While others are trapped in emotional battles, you are quietly collecting information that helps you make wiser choices. One of the greatest benefits of patience is that it protects you from manipulation. People who seek control over others often depend on urgency. They pressure you to answer immediately, decide quickly, or react emotionally before you have time to think. They understand that rushed decisions usually favor the person creating the pressure. By slowing down, asking questions, and refusing to be rushed, you take back control of the situation. You create space between emotion and action, and within that space lies the ability to think clearly. Doxes speak with a clarity that explanations rarely achieve. Many people spend countless hours telling others what they intend to do, what they believe, or how capable they are. They seek recognition through words instead of performance. Yet words are easily forgotten. Promises lose value when they are not supported by consistent action. A person who quietly works every day without seeking attention eventually earns respect, because results become impossible to ignore. Success has a way of answering doubts more effectively than arguments ever can. There is also a psychological advantage in allowing people to underestimate you. When you constantly announce your plans, defend your abilities, or seek approval, others become focused on judging every step you take. But when you remain quiet and concentrate on improving yourself, expectations often remain low. This gives you the freedom to develop without unnecessary pressure. Then, when your achievements become visible, they create a far stronger impression because they were not preceded by endless promises. Unexpected success is often more influential than loudly predicted success. Patience also teaches emotional independence. Many people become discouraged because they expect immediate rewards for their efforts. They work hard for a short period, fail to see instant results, and conclude that their efforts are meaningless. This impatience causes countless dreams to end before they have a chance to grow. Those who achieve lasting success understand that meaningful progress usually happens slowly. Skills require years of practice. Trust requires consistent behavior. Reputation develops through repeated actions over time. Lasting influence cannot be rushed because genuine growth follows its own pace. Another important lesson is learning to separate your ego from your purpose. Ego constantly demands recognition, appreciation, and immediate victory. Purpose is different. Purpose remains focused on long-term goals even when temporary setbacks occur. A person driven by ego feels compelled to respond to every insult because silence feels like defeat. A person driven by purpose asks a different question. Will responding help me reach my goal? If the answer is no, they continue moving forward without allowing distractions to consume their attention. Their future matters more than winning a meaningless argument. This mindset transforms the way you approach challenges. Instead of viewing every obstacle as a personal attack, you begin seeing difficulties as opportunities to strengthen your discipline. Every moment that tests your patience becomes another chance to prove that your emotions serve you instead of controlling you. Every temptation to react impulsively becomes an opportunity to practice restraint. Over time, these small victories build an unshakable confidence because you know your behavior is guided by principles rather than impulses. People naturally respect those who remain composed during difficult moments. Anyone can appear confident when life is easy, but true character becomes visible under pressure. The individual who continues working while others complain, who remains calm while others panic, and who lets achievements speak louder than promises, gradually earns a reputation for reliability and strength. Such respect cannot be demanded through words. It is earned through consistent action, disciplined patience, and unwavering self-control. When your actions repeatedly demonstrate integrity, resilience, and focus, explanations become unnecessary, because your life itself becomes the strongest statement you could ever make.